Welcome to Witches of Workshop, a writing community podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm Caroline, and this is where we brew better stories together. So if you want to be critiqued on the podcast, just send 1 to 10 pages and a synopsis to witchesofworkshop@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get started.
Hello.
Look at our new setup.
New locale.
Hey.
Empty chair in the middle for upcoming guest. Ooh la la.
It's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you like our mics? Do we look a fish?
I mean, we are.
I
So, what can I say?
So
What
much has
more can
passed.
we say?
So much has passed. Tell us, what is brewing in your life cauldron, Caroline?
Oh my gosh. Well, honestly, not a lot because we spent all of last week together. So you know what's been happening in my life. You also know the only other life update I've gotten since then, which is going to an estate sale and getting delightful trinkets.
The most adorable. Tell us what you got. Tell us what you got.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if I can remember all of them, so I'll tell you my favoriteest one is a little figurine of a mouse that is playing a piano, and the piano is coming out of another mouse. And also the mouse that's playing the piano is wearing a bonnet. And I just saw that and said, I have to have that. It is so weird. It feels cheaply made, and it's gonna go right on my shelf. So I was quite proud of that one. I sent you a little haul.
Yeah.
And that's literally the only fun thing I can think of I've done since we got back from Maine.
I think we're going to have to share that with the people, some pictures.
Yeah, we can do a little photo dump of what's been going on.
I think you should.
And I'm reading about the little tidbit you shared of your life update, and I'm a little nervous for you. Let's talk about it.
School is winding down, and I did not realize how quickly we are in the single digits for the little one.
And it's barely May.
Yeah. So I'm like a little in shock, but it is what it is.
It happens every year.
It happens every year. Shouldn't surprise me, but alas.
But here we are.
Here we find ourselves.
I can't wait to hear in future episodes how you're coping with having both of the children at home all the time.
I feel like the cursing is going to increase on the show by triple fold.
Well, this might be one of your few times you're just talking to an adult and not children all day.
It's going to be special.
So then you can use all of your words.
So many words.
Well, can't wait for the saga of how you cope.
It's going to be great.
I feel like this also is a great segue into how you're doing with your writing.
She says with a vicious glint in her eye.
It's relatable.
I'm having a bit
of a crisis.
A bit of a spiral, if you will.
A conniption.
It's just I'm editing and I'm doing well, and then I spiral, and then I cry, and then I edit some more, and then I spiral, and then I cry. And so we're just doing it like that these days.
And that's the point, is you have to do it like that. And that's the only way it's acceptable. It's not acceptable if you're having that and letting it completely inhibit your ability to write any words.
Sure.
But if you're writing while you're spiraling, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Spiral all you need.
Sure. Tell us about you. How are you doing?
Well, I spiraled too, as you know.
Spirals.
I think I'm finally on an up and up. I've restarted a project for, the 17th time. Let's just say really quickly, my goal for the year, as I said on the podcast, was to write another book this year, as I did last year, write a book in a year. It's, May? And I've started 2 books, and both of them been so this is going to be a no. But I finally have gotten one to a place where I'm this could be a yes, and we're going to keep going with it. And it may not be finished this year. We'll do our best, but
okay.
Sometimes ideas take breaking news.
Alert the presses.
I don't know if Rocco has watched old enough SpongeBob to see the fish newscaster that comes up on screen with his suit and he goes, breaking news.
That's definitely
me.
Know.
Ideas are hard. Writing is hard. So what the heck ever.
Witches of Workshop, for those kind of bomb, lightning bolt,
shattering,
just
never heard before hot takes.
Glass ceiling shattering.
Writing is hard. So that's what I've been doing. So it's good today that we're going to mix it up with a guest who we do know, but not quite as intimately as we've known some of our other guests.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, we get out of the house and we meet people sometimes.
Hello.
I know we don't seem like it.
We have friends.
And sometimes people want to talk to us, and we're really thankful, grateful, they will talk to us.
Well, I was lucky enough to meet our next guest at my very first conference before I knew anybody.
There you go.
And I was just amazed because she had a book out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, a real
real
one,
life
a
author."
real one!" So I'm so excited that she's going to be on today. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about her.
Get into it.
Yeah. Today we're super excited to welcome a USA Today best-selling author, Kate Khavari. She is the author of the Saffron Everly Mystery Series, which is a historical fiction series set in the 1920s London. And it's about a botanist, which I just adore, who solves crimes through her scientific knowledge.
Oh, we love smart ladies in fiction.
Hell yeah.
And very excitingly, the 5th and latest book in the series comes out June 9th. So go get it. And without further ado, let's welcome Kate Khavari.
Woohoo! So we're going to shake it out and we're going to get started.
You just magically appeared. She's here! Welcome, Kate Khavari.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you.
So excited to chat with you today. We've got lots of questions.
I know. I'm kind of excited to see what's gonna come up.
Well, we've always got something brewing. Okay, I will kick us off because, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first book came out in 2022.
That sounds right.
That's like what the internet told me. So, and the internet never lies. It's always right, as we know. But I assume you started writing before 2022. So tell us about, how'd you start writing? When did you decide you wanted to be an author? Because I did a little stalking and saw that you were a teacher once upon a time.
Yes, once upon a time. It feels like a really long time ago because by now it's like years and many books and children ago that's what my life was. So I've always loved reading and writing. I feel like we're supposed to say that, right? Like anyone who becomes an author is like, it's in the rule book that you have to say, I loved reading and writing as a child, but I did. And then throughout like high school and college, I really got away from it because it became very like academic and like scholarly and literary. And I'm not that girl. I'm so like not a literary person.
It's a safe place here to not be one of those girls.
I know
Neither are
one
we.
time I posted on Threads, I was like, does anyone actually read literary fiction? And I got an earful. I will tell you, because I know one person in my family and friends like routinely reads literary books and everyone else is a genre fiction person. I'm like, those are my people. But I went to college, got my degree, became a teacher, and it was really hard. And I needed a coping mechanism. And so I found Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, the TV show, which if you haven't seen it, watch it just for the costumes, right? It's 1920s, set in Australia, like badass heroine, solving mysteries. And I loved it. And then I realized that they were based off of books and it was like, we're on. So I binge read historical mysteries for probably like 18 months straight. And then one day I was like, could I write one of these? And then I did. And because I was teaching at the time, I started in April, and then the summer started and I wrote 4.5 books in like 3 months because I was off, right? So it was 10 to 12 hours a day, like nonstop writing, just one book after another. And that's how I drafted the first 4.5 Saffron Everly mysteries.
If there was a sound effect that we could put to our face, it would be like the
I know, it's
Dang,
wild.
sis.
I constantly think about that time and I'm like, if I could only like find my way back and like chase that high because it was incredible. It was just like creativity overload, just like all over the page. It was amazing.
And I'm so impressed that the first book you decided to write was a mystery, because that's like one of the most intimidating types of books I can think to write. Like I have a mystery rattling around and I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't know when I'm going to be ready.
I know. I think all the time that I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not smart enough to write a mystery. Like it's challenging because you have to know who did it and like how they did it and then like work backwards.
I was going to say, do you always know who did it?
The first one, A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons, I did not because I pantsed that one. At one point, Alexander, who is our love interest, like co-sleuth, he opens a door and somebody points a gun at him. And as I'm writing it, I'm cackling to myself. My husband's over on the couch and I'm like, he's like, what are you laughing about? I'm like, I don't know who's holding the gun. So no, I don't always know. But now that I'm writing the 6th one right now, now that we've gotten many books in, I have to know beforehand. because there's a lot of science in them. My character is a botanist, and so she solves crimes with science, but I'm not a scientist. And so I have to do a lot of research ahead of time to make sure that I know who did it and how.
You're talking about like a woman in STEM. Like I get a lot of like Miss Scarlet vibes, a lot of like Enola Holmes. How does it like I want to know a little bit about writing a character that is kind of like ahead of her time because like obviously in that time like what she was allowed to do, like just the rules around being a woman were different. So like how does that play into what you're writing?
I mean, Saffron brushes up against it a lot. One of the main themes of the series is fighting against misogyny. We love a lady fighting against misogyny because she's in an academic space in particular. There were a lot of women in the sciences at this time. We don't necessarily hear a whole lot about them, especially these days, but they existed, they were working, but a little bit less so in academia. And for plot reasons, Saffron is the only woman in her department. And so she's always pushing up against people judging her and thinking that she's incapable. And she is always like pushing back against that. But that's also part of the reason why I love the time period. It's set in the 1920s. World War I has swept through and just completely changed the world, including women's like roles and what they're like allowed to do changed. And 1920s are this time where you see these women who have been plunged into these different roles because all the men folk were gone to war, and they are simultaneously holding on to that and pushing further to have careers and to be making discoveries and making an impact while also like all the dudes are back and like trying to get their jobs back basically. And so there is a lot of like conflict and tension there that is really fertile ground for conflict.
And I'm extra impressed now knowing that you're not a scientist and that you have like a teaching background. So you're not a historian either, I'm guessing. So you tackled
No.
mystery, science, history. Like, how did you decide? Like, because isn't this like the jazz age era or whatever? Like, how did you pick that era? Like, what is the research process like for tackling something that you've never lived through or you're not like super familiar with?
I mean, mostly it is just a lot of like research. I chose it for two reasons. One, the vibes. We love the 1920s. They're really fun aesthetically. They're like really beautiful. People see 1920s and they immediately have something conjured in their mind. And I find that works in my favor. Even though my books don't really go into like jazz age flapper stuff very often. Some of them do. The second book in particular, they go to like a jazz club and Saffron like dresses like a flapper and it's like her disguise and it's really fun. But like the rest of the books aren't really about that. But it's nice that people already have an idea of it. I don't have to like teach them about the 1920s in the same way I would about like the 1820s. But the other reason is because I was a teacher. So I taught fifth grade, and in Texas, fifth grade is not Texas history, American history. And so at the end of this school year, every year when I started writing the book, we were doing World War I. And so the very last lesson for 3 years I taught, the very last lesson was what are the long-term and short-term effects of World War I. And so we would spend that lesson talking about like the advances in science and technology. We would talk about how the world just completely changed, the economy and politics and all of these things. And so I was like sitting here thinking about a murder mystery and teaching these kids about all the craziness of the 20s that came after World War I. And I was like, okay, like this is like good energy together.
So there was like a kind of a like a little roadmap for you, but how did you research without? Because like I imagine that amount of research, especially with because you're also researching plants and botany and the sciences of that. How do you do research in such a way that just does not drive you mad?
I'm a great big nerd. That's how. It's because I love it. Like there's just something really fun and exciting about like burrowing into like some kind of source and finding the thing that I'm looking for, or reading something just for funsies and coming across something and be like, I'm going to put that in a book. It's my favorite thing. So it's easy in that way because I love doing it anyway. But I'm really lucky that the 1920s is like abundantly I can go back and like see, I can find on YouTube like videos of like the streets of London in 1920. And like, I mean, even the science stuff, one of the hardest parts about writing these books is the science because we have so much more information today. And I have to go back to see what did they know back then. So like saffron deals with a lot of poisonings. Blood tests were a thing, but like what could they test for? And like how easy would it be for her to access that information? So I have to write around that very often because I can't find that information. But yeah, it's really well documented. I can find like textbooks that she would have learned from, and I can see exactly what they said about like a certain toxin. So
it sounds like you married your interests with what's accessible. 'Cause you're like, I already am into this, but other people have a vague idea as well. You didn't pick like the most obscure era of history that
oh yeah, I mean, I
nobody
really
knows about.
admire people who do that. I have a friend who wrote like a biblical era, almost like a Bible retelling, but like make it magic instead of like religion or
Whoa.
whatever. Shout out to Jillian. You know your story when
Hey,
I talk about
Jilly.
it.
Hey, boo.
But yeah, I mean, it's really about, if you're going to be writing historical, finding the divide between accessibility of information and your passion and like audience interest. Like people really like the 1920s. I don't know anyone
Yeah.
who's like 20s. That sounds
That was
boring.
a boring time.
Yeah.
Never.
So yeah, the aesthetics of anything. Okay, you mentioning your friend brings me to another question because off the pod earlier over coffee, you were chatting about how you have like your little writers group chat where y'all brainstorm stuff.
My
And
lady sleuth.
your lady sleuths, I love it. And we, of course, are big on community here. So talk to me about the role writing communities play in your like process in your life.
Gotcha.
How'd you find them? The
Yeah,
nitty-gritty.
all of it. Well, don't worry. We'll have so many offshoots from
Yeah.
this. Tell us.
So I started when I was querying the first time. I got on Instagram and I did the pitch events and I posted the graphics and I did all of this stuff that you do when you're trying to like get yourself out there. And I found a lot of people that I was like, hey, your story sounds really cool. Do you want to like swap pages? I don't know if people still do that, but I feel like kind of like old, like saying that because I don't see a lot of people being like, let's swap pages anymore. But like through some pitch events, I found some critique partners. And we had a great time for a couple years. And then I had more kids. And then I got like my first contract. And like our friendship stayed the same or grew or changed or whatever. But the critique partners' opportunities really like shrank down. So like for a long time, I was just kind of sitting out there feeling pretty lonely. And my parents are my beta readers for the Saffron Everly
I love
series.
that.
The sweetest
That's
thing
so
ever.
sweet.
We
Very
love your
sweet.
parents.
Yes, I saw that
Yes.
you mentioned them in your like bios. Like, do they
Yes.
play a big role in your writing process or just your writing inspiration?
I don't think I would be a writer without them. And definitely not this series because they're the ones who like introduced me to Agatha Christie. We watched so many like British dramas and mysteries growing up. Like they're the reason why I can recite every word to the 1995 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen.
Are-
Listen.
Okay.
Let's talk
Hold
about
on.
it.
Hold on. Who's your Darcy?
I mean, I'm a Colin Firth girly, but
We
I,
can be friends.
of course, I mean, it took me a while. I will admit, when the 2005 movie came out, I was very like opposed at first because I was like, this is not canon. It's not 6 hours. Who is this guy? But I have come to love that movie, but I see it as a different, like it's just different.
It's
And I
different
have to love
creature.
it for what it is. And Colin Firth, and I mean his shirt when he climbs out of the pond, like with the frills. I mean,
With the frills.
with the frills.
Not as soaking wet. It's the
The
frills.
it's the frills for me.
Okay.
That tracks.
You know. How about you? It's okay. It's a safe place.
Listen,
Maybe
Listen,
there it's safe,
I-
not safe here.
I still remember being a freshman in college and getting a package at my at the post office at school, and I was like, an eBay package. Who sent me? One, Brian Oseas, my lovely husband, then boyfriend, sent me the BBC, the DVDs, so that I could watch anytime I wanted. at
So
college.
romantic.
I was
No
obsessed.
wonder you married him.
I was
Yeah.
obsessed.
But
If we're gonna talk, okay, and Colin Firth is a delight, and he's so stoic and perfect. But if we're gonna talk about the one that literally like sends me. That hand flex is the sexiest
I
thing
mean, the
that
hand
has
flex is
ever
iconic.
existed.
I do
And
love the hand flex.
I think that the Joe Wright version is, I hate when people fight over them because I'm like, they're both beautiful. They're
different.
both,
They are different.
I think that they both have qualities that are admirable. It's literally one of my favorite movies of all time. So I can't hate on it too much. And comparing them is hard.
I know. And like, I think the character that's the hardest for me, because I think he's really good in both, is Mr. Collins.
Oh.
Like, they're both
I saw a
like,
thread that said, you can say what you want about all the castings of all these different adaptations, but they've never gotten Mr. Collins wrong. And I was like,
Very
yes,
true.
this is absolutely true. They get it right every time.
I am a little nervous
fabulous.
about this new miniseries, though.
there's a new one.
There's a
coming
new
out?
one on HBO.
Okay. But when I saw the casting, I was like, you guys, the parents are supposed to be, because it's
It's
Rufus, what's his face?
Sewell and
As-
Olivia
as
Colman
Mr.
as
Bennett.
Mrs. Colman, or as Mrs. Bennett, and I'm like,
Just switch it around. Like, I would watch like this like older version of them as Elizabeth and Darcy, but they're the parents. It's kind of
real
like
interesting.
right.
So it sounds like your parents are kind of like my mom and I grew up a lot watching BBC. Although I got my dad into Downton Abbey. Like he was
Oh,
always
you?
like, y'all with your little masterpiece classic shows. And then he was like, this Downton Abbey. He'd be like, he's like,
stalks by in the
I know he'd
background
come into my
trying to
room and he's
listen.
like, it's Sunday at 7. Where's the tea? And I was like, okay, Dad.
He was dedicated.
He watched it longer than I did, but
Bo was on a MEU, which is Marine Expeditionary Unit, and when he came back from that deployment, all of the men had watched all of Game of Thrones and all of Downton Abbey. And literally,
It's for-
it was
for
the
the boys.
funniest thing ever to him be like, Lord Grantham. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
she's like, what's going to become of Lady Edith if she doesn't find someone to settle down with? My dad, the way he'd grown with Lady Edith would come on screen. I was like, you got to give Edith her moment. Okay. She has a good arc. So I love that your parents are like,
Yeah.
No, that is
such
exactly
big
them.
supporters.
And we like would dissect it and like do the whole thing. So like when I wrote the first book, I was like, I wrote a book. It just happened. Read it. And they read and they're like, this is actually like not half bad. Do you want to do something with this? And then I did. And they continue to be like just incredible resources because they have listened or watched or read like every British murder mystery ever. Their knowledge is like encyclopedic. So I can be like, you guys, I have this problem, and they will shout out like 5 different ways to solve it. So they're the best.
Well, that explains how you were able to write alone for so long because you weren't really alone. You had your parents in your corner.
And my mom actually writes now also. She
Stop
wrote a
it.
cozy thriller.
Stop
Which
it.
is just the best thing ever. And
Is
so
she
we've
gonna query
gotten-
it?
Yeah, we have edited her query. I just read her synopsis the other day. She did so good. I literally was like, Mom, people don't do this the first time they write a synopsis. She did great. I was so proud of her.
Oh my gosh.
Family affair.
I know, it's a family activity.
But then you now have, okay, tell us how the
so
group
now,
chat, how did that,
now we
how
got a
did
group
that?
chat. In my like little corner of the mystery genre, we have like a very specific little niche group that is historical lady sleuths that fall in love while solving mysteries that are not super gruesome. So like it's very, very niche. And I'm trying to think, I think it was Agatha from She Wore Black, that podcast. And we talked one time and she coined it adventure mysteries. I'm like, that is it. So I have my little corner of the genre that is adventure mysteries. And we all write like literally the exact same thing. And so we've all like blurbed each other. And like a couple of us are publishing at the same publishing house. And so last summer I was like, hey, we all have books sitting on our shelves probably. Do you guys want to do a giveaway? And so we did a giveaway and we tried to coordinate it through email, and it was like 4 of us and it was a mess. So we're like, group chat it is. And we just have like been in that group chat every day since, talking about anything. And I actually just got to see a couple of them in person for the first time last week.
Oh,
It was really nice.
Oh,
I made
so
hats.
nice.
We wore some hats.
oh my
They
gosh.
said sleuthing and smooching.
Stop it right now.
And it was very cute.
We love
We're a big fan of
merch.
braided hats around here as
We
well.
love a hat.
merch. So
I love a hat moment.
love that. Well, okay, so you've got that. I also assume Okay. I met you at a conference and you regularly attend the Historical Novel Society conferences. You're teaching and you're attending DFW Con, I think pretty regularly over the past, right?
Unless I'm having a baby.
Unless she's having a baby. That is dedication. How do you think those events have helped you with your writing publishing journey, and why do you think it's important for authors to show up in that space?
I think it's like a combination of the networking. I mean, that's the biggest reason. It is a very solitary career, but it shouldn't be, because you will be so much more successful if you have connections with other writers to be like, hey, can you read this chapter for me and see if it makes sense? Or like, hey, I'm querying. Do you like your agent? Should I query them? So like there's a lot of layers to the networking it's really important. I've always been really impressed with the one here because there is a wide range of stuff and it has a lot to do with the craft. It's like ways of making your writing better. Um, and like as a former teacher, I'm like, any knowledge I have, I must share. And so I love getting to like come and be like, here's something that I've learned that has helped me. Maybe it'll help you too.
And it does.
And it does.
And it's so funny because I remember thinking, because I've mostly taught business classes in the past, and I remember thinking to myself at one point, I was like, "This is so basic. Like everybody, like this is and because you assume you're like everybody knows this, and then you get in there and you're like, oh wait, no, not
The
every-"
classroom is full.
Like the classroom is full. People are dying for more knowledge on how to. We're going to talk about this next. How do I promote myself on social media? How do I just people like they don't know.
I
And-
taught a graphic design class last time, and it was literally like, this is how you go on Canva and make a color palette. This is how you choose your fonts. Because I feel like we get really like in this world because we're online. We get really in this world of like graphics and reels and doing all of this stuff. But like the majority of writers are not doing that. They are still coming here being like, how do I design a bookmark to like give when my book comes out? And that's fine. Everybody is at like a different place and is choosing to spend their time in a different way. But like you can't take for granted that somebody's going to know how to do something.
Right. But it's just so great but I also feel like it's comforting as the writer who doesn't know, or like when I'm going to a craft class where I'm like, I don't know this. And now I leave with a better knowledge. It's exciting to kind of pass that collective knowledge around so that you leave knowing something that you didn't know before you got there. And I love that.
Because you already mentioned it, the social media of it all. In my opinion, you are very good at showing up consistently online. And as I was watching some of your recent videos, we both work in the social media space or have worked. So I'm like, I can tell how long certain of these things would take to make, like even if you're skilled at it. So I'm like, dang girl, good for you. Like I was watching one where I think you were doing just like, how many words did I write today? You were trying to write 5,000 words in a day, which she did, by the way, everyone.
I did. And before 3 p.m., I was shocked. I did not think that was going to happen. That's why I made the videos, because I'm like, this is going to be really hard.
Yes.
And it was hard, but I did it.
You're a mother of little kids, you're writing lots of books, and you're showing up online a lot. So how do you not like get burnt out making all this content?
Oh, I do.
Or how do you resurrect yourself from the burnout?
That's a great question. I actually experienced like real burnout for the first time last summer. And the process of like healing from that was really interesting.
Was it writer burnout, social media burnout?
It was literally
everything
all of it.
burnout.
It was everything burnout. Like I would wake up and just be like, I don't want to do anything.
Okay, talk about how you got yourself out of the burnout in case, we have one in the future.
I have not written for more than like 2 or 3 days at a time since I started writing in 2018. But this summer I didn't write for 2 weeks, which is like, for me, like it felt like I'm never going to write again. Like I'll never feel creative again. But it was 2 weeks of doing no work at all, even though I was like under deadline. Not like cleaning my house, not really doing laundry. We had family in town and I'm like, I'm really sorry. But I just felt like, Coke left out overnight. I just felt completely flat. And I'm like, I can't get excited about anything.
Yeah.
So I was literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then after doing nothing for a while, I came back and within a month I had finished the draft that I was working on and like I was querying. It was right before the conference and I'm like, I have to go and like on and like teach my classes and pitch to agents and all of this. So I think I could have spent more time laying low, but I didn't really have a choice. But finishing that draft really gave me a lot of like momentum forward. Finish writing your book.
Space. I think a
Yes,
tiny bit of space is
space and
okay.
time to not be productive.
I was talking with the lovely Catherine Center at a signing at a library a few months ago. And I was like, do you take breaks? And she was like, oh, yeah. She was like, I take year-long breaks. And I was like,
Really?
what? And so, and I don't know if this is so much anymore, but she was like, oh, no, especially when her children were little. She was like, yeah, sometimes like you have to step away. And I was literally, that gave me like an anxiety attack. I was like, a year?
Yeah.
What?
I would forget how to write.
But I don't know. But I think that we put ourselves in this race. And then sometimes you are on a deadline and sometimes you do feel like, but I think overall, most of our writerly deadlines are self-imposed. Like we give ourselves
Absolutely.
this very just strong pressure to, you know, keep like the put out needs to just keep going. And sometimes like your input, you're just like, I've got nothing coming in. Like, how do you keep up that pace? And sometimes you can't. And I think it's okay. Sometimes you need to have I think a break is okay.
Anytime that I've forced myself to write when I'm just like absolutely burnt out, I'm like, this is terrible. And this makes me hate myself and my writing some more. Whereas I'm like, I wish I had waited until I like knew I could get my juice back a little bit.
I always have like a fun project that I have no intention of publishing.
There you
Like
go.
right now, my fun project is a sci-fi bodyguard romance that will probably never see the light of day. At least like under my current name. Maybe I'll publish under a pen name or something. But
Stay
like
tuned.
that has also been like very like healing and relaxing to just be like, this sounds like fun, and just like write a couple thousand words and then you don't touch it for like 6 months, and then you need a break, but you want to keep the words flowing, and you just like throw some random crap on a page.
I feel like that's like
with no pressure.
The writer version of journaling. Look, journaling was supposed to be on my list for the year. I think I made it a full 16 days and then I was like, bleh. But the best advice somebody gave me about journaling was like, treat it like you're never going to look at this again.
Right.
And I think sometimes like writing little short stories or little things like that, I think we've done where we've broken off and you've written something where you're like, the stakes in this are so low. It's just for me to have fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a lovely, so do that, people.
Do some more of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I also want to know though, since you are so consistent on social media, like, because we've talked to a lot of authors, and as you mentioned before, there's like some who lean more traditional marketing where they're like, gotta get these bookmarks out, and then some who are like all online, and then there's some who are like, there is no need to show up online. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why do you? Because you could put that time and effort somewhere else, but you choose.
I could write more books.
Yeah, but why do you do it?
Because it's 2026. And like the fact is, and I said this in the graphic design class I taught because it was also partially about author branding, is that like the majority of people are online, and like that's where we're getting information these days. Like very few people are walking into a bookstore with no outside knowledge and just like choosing a book that looks good. Very few people are doing that. And even more because so much of our sales now are online with ebook and audiobook, and like ordering like an actual book to be delivered to your house. The majority of book sales are happening online. I mean, it is, I would love to say it's something beautiful. Like I really want to like connect with my audience. And I want to like build friendships, and I do, and that is a perk. It's a huge bonus about being online, but like I do it because I want to sell books and I want to be successful.
Yeah, girl.
And it's just the way of the
I mean, because that's how you buy anything
it's
now.
part of the job now.
Yeah.
It's part of the job.
Yeah.
And you can get away with not doing it if you write, I think, very particular genres for where the majority of the audience is not like online, you know? Like I can't really think of who that would be, but like there are definitely like audiences that are not particularly like on Instagram.
Right.
Like I write historical mysteries. The majority of the people who read that are like old white ladies. And I love the old white ladies. Y'all are my people. You're my audience. Like no shade, but I know that like I can't quit Facebook, for example, because my audience is on Facebook. And so I'm cross posting from Instagram to Facebook to make sure I'm contacting that market.
That is so smart.
You got to know where your audience is lurking.
Well, that's also like
Yes.
marketing 101, even like old school marketing. It's like your
Who are you
audience should be
talking to?
so specific.
Yes.
Like you should know, like that's why I always loved that on agent query letters when they were like, who like describe the person that like is going to buy your book. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I know this person. And
Yeah.
it's like you should also know, like if you're selling a book, you should also know who that is, because
Mhm.
the more niche you can get with it, the more like subgenre, like that's how you find like true, like that's how you get fans, lifelong fans, not just, a passing like. Yeah.
And even the old people are online, to your point. They
Yeah.
just may not be on TikTok, but they're
Yeah,
online.
they're not on. That's why I'm not on TikTok, because I'm like, I
Totally.
could go there and I could put in all my effort on TikTok, but that's not where the majority of my audience
It's not
is.
your people.
Yeah, it's like people our age and older.
Mhm.
Most of them are not on TikTok.
Yeah. And perhaps I love me some TikTok, but listen, I understand it's perhaps for the best. But for those who are not on there, it's a mess.
Well, okay, we're just gonna go there. You had a little bit of Threads fun.
Yes.
So we had a little viral moment, and I would love for you, because like it's sim from a place of such like delightful honesty, and I think that's so refreshing. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your little Threads viral moment.
Yes, my 10 seconds of internet, not quite fame. I wrote a thread a couple of months ago that basically was like, hey guys, I'm so white. I know that my last name doesn't sound white because it's not. It's because my husband's family is Iranian. And so, but I'm not. Don't put me on lists for like diverse reading because I am so white. And it kind of like popped off, and like over the weekend it got a lot of views and a lot of comments. And I ended up being reached out to by a person from Newsweek to be like, we're going to write an article about this. Do you have anything you want to say? And I was like, is this AI slop like in my email? Because it did not seem like a real thing, but it was a real thing. And so now there's an article out there in the world saying Kate Khavari is so white. And that's great, because that's the message I wanted to get across. Because I'm occasionally added to lists because people see the last name and they make an assumption. But I'm like, you could have looked at my picture at least. Like, it is very obvious I am so white.
And why do you feel like that was an important thing to say? And then I want to know a little bit about your experience with the comments, because I feel like you never know how something is going to go. And I feel like your comment section really validated you speaking up about it.
Yeah. The response was like shockingly positive. I feverishly read like every single comment because I was really worried how it was going to be taken.
Did you
Especially
contemplate
when
just deleting it when you see all these comments come through? Because you're like, what if I'm
I
about
didn't,
to be
because they
like,
were so positive. Like everyone was like, yes, like more people should do this. Like, thank you for saying this. Thank you for being an ally. And I was like, you guys, like I literally just announced that I'm white. I didn't do anything.
I stated the obvious.
Yeah. And I'm like, I was really surprised, honestly, like how positive were viewing it when I hadn't done anything. So I actually, like halfway through the viral moment, I went to my website and put up a blog post to be like, I'm white, but all of these other historical mystery authors aren't. Because I'm like, the whole point of this was me saying like, I should not be taking up this space. You should give it to somebody who should be on these lists. Here's a list. And so I wish I would have like realized the opportunity sooner, or like somehow also said that like in the original post, but it got some clicks. So I'm hopeful that people who are looking for a more diverse historical mystery like find that list.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to end, I think, talking about where you are right now. So we know that we've got a 5th book coming out, and then I believe a 6th.
Yes.
So
writing.
Saffron
Number
is she's
she's still
going.
kicking.
But I feel like you've had kind of this unconventional road to where you are. So
Yes.
you're also now querying adult fantasy?
Adult historical fantasy.
Okay.
Yes.
How is that going? Tell us everything.
It's going slow. We were talking about this. Things are moving really slow right now in the querying world. where it used to take like 6 weeks to get a yes or a no. I feel like it's taking like 8 weeks, 12 weeks.
Mhm.
And this is for someone with a sales record. So I think it must be going really slow for most people. But of course, you don't see that online. You see all of these like miracle stories of like, I sent in a query on a Friday and I had like an offer from a publisher like on the
Blocked.
next Friday.
I block them all.
I know.
I'm like, get that out of my feed.
I know. It's like anxiety inducing. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
so behind. Like so many people are getting these deals, and that's just not the case, because for every deal you see, there's like 500 people who aren't getting a deal. So
Well, and I've talked to you about this, and you're always like, where's the proof? How do we know they're not just making it up? And I'm like, oh, yeah, people lie online. Like, I know that there's exceptions and miracles happen once in a while. But to your point, most of the time, they don't.
yeah,
And,
and they're not on there whining every day that they're not getting a full request or whatever. So,
exactly, because that doesn't, lend itself usually to to good things going on.
It's not a community, but I feel like you should be able to spiral with your people, but I feel like a constant spiral is like that's not the way that you're
Yeah.
building community that lifts you up if it's
Mhm.
just a constant. Yeah. So, I mean,
But yeah, that is
waiting
Yeah.
is hard.
like
You're-
a realistic depiction of what querying is actually like is not what you will find online.
Yeah.
So I've been querying for, I don't know, how many weeks is it since the end of February?
Over 8 weeks, probably getting up
8
on
weeks.
10
I should be getting some rejection soon.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that, and that's for a kind of alternative history, 1920s fantasy book. So it's like a
Yeah.
riff on it's combining all the things I love about the Saffron books with like magic, because then I get to just make stuff up. In addition to researching, it's the best of both worlds.
She said she was a nerd, folks. Come on.
I know. I
look,
am.
she-
But I gladly wear the badge.
I love it.
I also find that encouraging, though, that you're a USA Today bestselling author. You have another book coming out. You're drafting another one, and you're querying, and still having to deal with the waiting and the shouting into the void and the rejection. So it never ends, people.
Yeah. I think is definitely something that I've really learned this year, is that you will never feel like you're doing enough. It will always feel like you're shouting into the void. And that's okay, because no one is ever going to care about your stories as much as you do. And so if you're not getting all of the positive response, then it feels like failure, because you love it so much and you're like, "Well, I want everyone to love it." I'm really trying to tell myself that every day, that objectively, I could absolutely be doing more. I don't know with what time, but I could find time. I could make time to post more reels, send more queries, write more words, but realistically.
But if we want to do this long term, and we
Right.
do, then you have to think about that as well.
Yeah.
What can I keep up
What's the
for
sustainable
the
what's
next-
the sustainable path?
30 years or whatever?
Well, and that too is another idea that I've grappled with, because so I'm writing Saffron number 6. I don't have a title for it yet, but I actually was brainstorming them as I was falling asleep last night. So I have a text from myself that's very confusing that I'll have to interpret later. But so I'm writing Saffron number 6, and I'm looking at this transition into the fantasy space that I'm interested in, and it has taken me 5 fantasy projects to land on this manuscript, to be like, this is it. And I've tried querying the others. I didn't have success, and I'm actually really glad for that, because I feel like this is the one that reflects where I want to go the best. Even though at the time I was banging my head against the wall, being
Yeah.
like, why isn't this working? But I feel like, I don't know, I felt like this before, but I feel like this one is the one, because it makes a lot of sense for the audience I already have, and the kind of books that excite me that I want to write. The immediacy that we get from other people's querying updates is not real, right? The wait is real, and trying and failing is real. We're trying again and again to find what makes sense, and what makes sense timing wise. Because right now, I feel like this project it fits in with a lot of stuff I've seen on Publishers Marketplace. So even though I don't write to the market, I don't think anyone should write to the market, it seems like this might be the time. Just watch me come back in the year and be like, nope, wasn't that one.
Well, but that's what every author guest has told us on this podcast, and that we just like know from real life is they always look back on the things that didn't happen, the failures, if you will. And they're always like, to your point, like, I'm in hindsight glad that that didn't happen. I'm glad that I didn't get that agent or that book deal or
But
that
I
whatever.
also think you have to put yourself out there in every situation with like full heart. Like you can't, we're not going to half-ass this like soul crushing experience. We're not going to just do it sort of. So I feel like you do believe in the books that you're putting out there. And then when it doesn't work out, there is that. We all have our spiral and then we all jump to next project, right? We're going to the next project. And then we find that we get better. And then we find that we love these things more. So I think that with each thing, we just get better at our craft and get better at kind of discerning what the right thing is. So I am excited for you and I can't wait to hear updates.
Me too. I would love to hear
She's
some
like,
updates.
agents, if you're out there, just say
I'm
something,
ready.
anything. So where can people be apprised of your updates?
Yeah, where
I
can we
am
find you?
very active, as I said, on Instagram. I'm on Threads. Both of those are at Kate Khavari, and I'm doing that a lot. I also have a very active newsletter where I do like interviews with other authors. I do a lot of giveaways because I only have so much shelf space, and I got a lot of books on there now. And yeah, if you're in the Dallas DFW area, I have a lot of events coming up for
Excellent.
A Botanist's Guide to Tradition and Treachery, which comes out June 9th.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's a great day.
It's a great
Oh, that's your
day.
anniversary. Are you having a book launch at a local bookstore?
I
What's
am. I'll be
happening?
at a lot of local bookstores around, but the launch day is at Interrobang Books.
Oh, we love
Fabulous.
Interrobang.
Come
Love
visit.
it.
Okay, I shall. You'll see me there.
We did
We
it.
did
Lovely
it.
interview. Okay. We always end our podcast with a little rapid fire. It doesn't have to be one word, but we try to do a quick little
Get ready.
beat, okay?
Yeah, and we're gonna go you, me, you.
Let's
So
go. We're gonna
you're
go down
be
the
up
line.
first.
Okay. Favorite flower, non-poisonous.
Oh, that takes like all of them out because all of them are. I was gonna say delphinium, but delphinium is poisonous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most things are poisonous if you eat them.
Well, then I
wonder if yours is
Yours might be too.
Okay, yeah, you could let us know.
okay.
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 So yours is delphinium. Okay, mine right now it's called Standing Cypress because my husband's a gardener in our relationship and he's planted a bunch of Texas native plants in our backyard. So it's beautiful, like wildflower, whatever.
That's my vibe.
You know, we're anti-turf, we do all that. But one that's come up this spring is called Standing Cypress.
I don't think I've heard of that. I'm gonna have to go look it up.
Okay, you heard it here first. Standing
Probably
Cypress.
poisonous.
I was
Probably.
gonna say, I
probably.
literally wrote down, unsure if they're poisonous. My favorite, I'm a ranunculus girly. And I imagine if you ate it, it would kill, yeah. Okay,
That's
so never
poisonous.
What a
not
fabulous
so great.
fact.
We're gonna have to find I guess it would have been easier to find the flowers that were poisonous.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I love
Okay,
that.
so don't eat flowers is what we've learned here
Yeah.
today. Okay. What is next up on your TBR?
I have two that I'm like grabby hands for. One is India Holton's latest book, which is I think it's an antiquarian's Object of Desire or Book of Desire, something like that. But
Okay.
it's great. I'm supposed to say it short, sorry. And then
You're killing
Shannon
it.
Chakraborty's the next Amina Al-Sarafi, like Lady Sea Pirate Adventure book.
Sea Pirate Adventure.
Yes, sea pirate.
And
Give
she's
me
like
some of that.
in her like 40s or 50s. And so it's even better. She's not a youth.
Yeah,
Love
not a youth. Okay, I'm gonna go off script because I had mentioned the one I talked to you about earlier, but I do really want to read Yesteryear, not just because of all the hype, but because she's a debut and she is a Good Morning America pick. So I'm just like, look at this debut
Yeah.
author absolutely slaying. But I
Okay.
want to know what's up with that one.
Okay. Okay. I just got, I think it's a Reese Witherspoon pick. But a friend, I was in a slump and I told her I was in a slump and she was like, have you read this? And she was like, you need to. She was like, it gives me your vibe, your book vibes. And I was like, okay. So it's Into the Blue by Emma Brody. And it's Into the Blue. And then it says like a love story hidden in the word. And so I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
So that's what's,
Into
that's
the
what's
Blue.
next. It came in the mail today. I'm very excited.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts on the pod. Okay, I'm sure you've thought about this a lot, but last question, perhaps best question. If you were a woman in STEM, what would your job be?
I would be a botanist. I love plants. That's why Saffron is a botanist. So
Because that's what you want to be.
I like knowing which things could kill you and pointing them out. It's fun.
She kept it. You kept us alive.
Now I'm going to go out and ID everything in my backyard and be like, oh my gosh, it's a field of poison. We cannot eat these in the event of an apocalypse. Although, briefest tangent, I'm so sorry. I have to say, did you know wild carrots are everywhere?
Yes, and they look like hemlock.
Yes.
I freaked the heck out when my son was 2 and I went into the backyard, and not only did I find a bunch of these wild carrots that look exactly like hemlock, I found like literal nightshade.
Oh.
And I also freaked the heck out.
Yeah. Well, I just learned now that I know what wild carrots look like. I'm driving around. I'm like, they're everywhere.
But do not eat them because they will end up being hemlock.
Really?
Yeah, they look so similar.
I did pick one up and smell it, and it smells just like a
Don't
carrot.
smell it, but don't eat it.
Okay.
You don't want to be in that.
Good to know.
Story.
You're so right. Okay, well, I'm glad we discussed this. I would be like,
nibble, nibble.
local woman eats carrots.
Turns out
passes
to be
away.
hemlock.
Okay, yeah, I'm really glad we had this discussion. Well, I don't think I'd be very good at it, obviously, given what we just discussed, but I'd love to be a forensic scientist.
Oh,
because
interesting.
get it at all, but it looks so intriguing.
Have you read The Poisoner's Handbook by
No.
Deborah? It's either Blum or Bloom.
Would I love it?
German one. It's about the development of forensic science in the 1920s in New York City during Prohibition, and it's amazing.
That sounds fabulous.
It's so cool and gross and just fascinating.
I love it.
Check.
Check. Okay, and
Add that
you?
to your TBR.
I shall.
I would probably be a cosmetic.
Ooh, yes.
Hear me out.
I'm listening.
Skincare formulators are like, I'm so into them. Joyce, I think her last name is De Lemos, maybe? She's a Filipina skincare girly, and she formulates Dew Skincares, all of their moisturizers and formulas, and I could listen to her talk about the science of skincare. She's also really hot, but she just has such a very no nonsense way to discuss what she's doing, and their whole thing is rituals, not miracles. So I love the science behind I just love it. So I would love to make moisturizers.
Imagine if we all became these women in STEM, and then we wrote a book about the botanist and the forensic scientist and the cosmetic chemist
with skincare and botany, and then you can tell us if you did it right.
While I'm eating,
when we kill people,
and it will all boil down to someone just ate a wild carrot, and we'll be like, okay, well,
or maybe that was my plan all along.
Dun dun dun. Well, this has been just as fabulous as I had hoped.
It, friends. My microphone keeps going further and further south.
You
Can you hear me down there?
it's
Hello.
just indicative of all that. But we can't wait for the launch of the next Saffron Everly.
Thank you. I think it's going to be really fun. Murder Abroad is always excellent.
The only thing better than Murder
Under Arrest, also always great.
Oh my
Fun
gosh.
times. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Kate, thank you
everybody
so much. Thanks for being here today.
I had a great time.
We had a great time. All right. Well,
friends.
happy writing, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening to Witches of Workshop. Be sure to find us every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, if you want to be featured on Witches of Workshop, please send 1 to 10 pages and a synopsis to witchesofworkshop@gmail.com.
Until then, happy writing.